Today's lesson is double angle identities. Let's look at the formula. For sine 2 theta, you got the 2 sine theta cosine theta. For sine 2 theta, you have to know that if I divide it by 2 both sides, I got the sine theta cosine theta equals sine 2 theta over 2. For cosine 2 theta, you have 3 options. For cosine square theta minus sine square theta, compared to cosine square theta plus sine square theta, that's equals to 1. And now we know cosine square theta minus sine square theta, that's equals cosine 2 theta. Cosine 2 theta also equals 2 cosine square theta minus 1. Let's working on that. Cosine 2 theta equals 2 cosine square theta minus 1. I want to work out that cosine square theta. So I plus 1 both sides. I got cosine 2 theta plus 1. Then I divide it by 2. You will get cosine square theta. When you use double angle to simplify, you got to use this formula. For cosine 2 theta equals 1 minus sine square theta, work this out. 1 minus 2 sine square theta. So first of all, minus 1. Both sides, you got the cosine 2 theta minus 1 equals negative 2 sine square theta. Then you divide it by negative 2. You will get, this is a change the sign. I got 1 minus cosine 2 theta over 2 equals sine square theta. Try to remember this so that when you do simplify trig functions by double angle identity, that's very useful. Let's go to number 1. Find the exact value of sine 2 alpha, cosine 2 alpha, and a tangent to alpha. When cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 7, and alpha is between pi over 2 to pi. We know this is 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So when alpha between pi over 2 and pi, let's go to second quadrant. We write down second quadrant. Coordinates will be negative x, positive y. CST, sine is positive, the other two is negative. Now let's go to cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 7. We label as x over r, which means x equals negative 3, r equals 7. And for y equals, y is positive, so we write down positive square root 7 square minus negative 3 square. You will get square root of 40. Simplify, that's 2 square root of 10. Because for square root of 40, we can divide it by 4. Got the 4 times 10. So we got 2 square root of 10. Therefore, for sine alpha, you will get y over r means 2 square root of 10 over 7. Now let me write down cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 7, and sine alpha equals 2 square root of 10 over 7. Since this is for the second quadrant, sine is a positive, cosine is negative. We are on the right track. Now we go to figure out sine 2 alpha. Here's the formula. We got 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. So we plug in 2 times sine alpha is 2 square root of 10 over 7. Cosine alpha, that's negative 3 over 7. I put over 1. Denominator multiply, we got 49. Numerator multiply, 2 times 2 is 4 times negative 3, that's negative 12 square root of 10. For cosine 2 alpha equals, we have 3 formula. Normally we use the first one, cosine square theta minus sine square theta. So we got cosine square alpha minus sine square alpha. That means negative 3 over 7 square minus 2 square root of 10 over 7 square. So we got 9 over 49 minus 49 as denominator. 2 squared is 4 times 10, that's 40. So we got 9 minus 40 over 49, that's negative 31 over 49. Since we got the cosine 2 alpha and a sine 2 alpha, when we're working on tangent 2 alpha, that is sine 2 alpha over cosine 2 alpha equals sine 2 alpha, that's negative 12 square root of 10 over 49. Denominator, that's negative 31 over 49. Since we have the same denominator, you can reduce. Therefore, you will get denominator 31, 12 square root of 10. Because negative negative is a positive. So this for tangent 2 alpha. Now let's go to number 2. Tangent alpha equals 2 over 5. Alpha between pi and 3 pi over 2. That's a third quadrant. Negative x, negative y. CST. Positive, negative, negative. For tangent alpha equals 2 over 5, we got y over x. Since x is negative, y is negative. Therefore, you got the x equals negative 5, y equals negative 2. R equals square root. Negative 5 square plus negative 2 square. We got square root of 29. For sine alpha, that's y over r means negative 2 over square root of 29. For this question, leave as it is. Don't try to simplify, because when we square, we don't want to get like a really big number. For cosine alpha equals x over r, you got negative 5 over square root of 29. Leave as it is. Therefore, for sine 2 alpha, you get 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. Plug in, you got the 2 times negative 2 square root of 29 times negative 5 square root of 29. Denominator, you got square root of 29 times square root of 29, that's 29. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 5, that will be positive 20. For cosine 2 alpha equals cosine square alpha minus sine square alpha. You will get negative 5 over square root of 29 squared minus negative 2 square root of 29 squared. So we get negative 5 squared is 25 over 29 minus 4 over 29. So we got 21 over 29. For tangent 2 alpha equals sine 2 alpha over cosine 2 alpha. Sine 2 alpha, that's 20 over 29. For cosine 2 alpha, that is 21 over 29. Same denominator you can reduce, so you got 20 over 21. Use an appropriate double angle formula to simplify. When you simplify the following trig functions, you need this formula. Basically, it's backwards of double angle. For example, for A, sine alpha cosine alpha, that means 2 times. We go to this formula, times 2 sine 2 alpha. Then reduce. You got sine 2 alpha. That's for A. Now for B, sine alpha cosine alpha equals sine 2 alpha over 2. So we reduce. Here's 1. This is 2. Your answer will be 2 sine 2 alpha. For C, that's really easy one. Just sine 2 alpha over 2. Before we go to D, let's analyze. For cosine square theta, this is a cosine square theta. Here's plus. Then double this angle. This is a theta. This will be a 2 theta. For sine square theta, you have to do minus here. Then double the angle. It's both over 2. For example, if I have cosine square, here's 2t. You will get 1 plus cosine. Double this angle. That will be 4t over 2. If I have a sine square 3x, that means you have 1 minus, because sine square, that's 1 minus, cosine. Double this angle. You will get the 6x over 2. That's how to apply this formula. For D, basically that's the formula. 1 minus sine square theta. Write down cosine 2 theta. For E, 1 minus 2 cosine square theta. That's opposite for that. Therefore, you got negative cosine 2 theta. For F, this is the one is the opposite for this pattern. Therefore, you get negative cosine 2n. Now let's go to this J. You have sine 2 alpha cosine 2 alpha, which means sine 4 alpha over 2. Then you multiply by this 2. Reduce. You will get sine 4 alpha. For H, sine 2 theta cosine 2 theta, that means sine double this 3 theta, we got 6 theta over 2. Then you multiply by 4. Then you will get, here's 1, this is 2. Got 2 sine 6 theta. For number I, sine for alpha, cosine to alpha, that will be 2 as a denominator. Then we got sine, we double this for alpha, that will be 8 alpha. Now go to this j. You will get 1 minus 2. This square, that means 1 minus cosine. And double angle, that will be 6x over 2. Then we do multiplication reduce. You will get 1 minus, change the sign because I have negative. You can put the parentheses here. Get 1 plus cosine 6x. That's cosine 6x. For this k, 1 minus 2 times cosine square, that means 1 plus cosine double angle, that's 10 theta over 2 over 1 reduce. I put the parentheses because here it's negative. Then we do distributive property 1 minus 1 minus cosine 10 theta. So combine like terms, that's negative cosine 10 theta because 1 minus 1 is 0. For this L, I got the 2 times. Sine square means 1 minus cosine. Double, that's 8d over 2 minus 1. Multiplication reduce. You got the 1 minus cosine 8d minus 1. Combine like terms, 1 minus 1 is 0. So answer will be negative cosine 8d. Let's go to M. Remember that for cosine square minus sine square, that's cosine 2 theta. This is the opposite. So you got the negative cosine 3x times 2, that's 6x. For n, you will get cosine x over 2 times 2. That will be x, cosine x. Okay, let's go to S. For S, that means you got sine 2 times 15, 30 degree. Sine 30, that's 1 over 2 over 2. So drop down this 2, you got 1 over 4. For this T, you will get sine 2 times 75 is 150 degree over 2. Sine 150, that's QRS. Go to second quadrant. Reference angle is 30. So it's positive sine 30 degree. That's 1 over 2. So we got 1 over 2 over 2. Drop, that's 1 over 4. For number U, this is the pattern for cosine 2 times 15 degree. That's cosine 30 degree, which means square root of 3 over 2. And for V, basically that's the pattern for cosine 2 theta. So we got the cosine 2 times 15 degree, that's cosine 30, means square root of 3 over 2. For W, still that's the pattern for cosine 2 theta. So we got cosine 2 times 75 degree means cosine 150 degree. That's the second quadrant. Reference angle is 30, negative sign. So you get negative cosine 30 degree means negative square root of 3 over 2.